This episode of Celtics Roundtable is powered by CLNS Radio. CLNS Radio, the leading online provider of audio-video coverage of the Boston Celtics. Welcome inside Wednesday morning's edition of Celtics Roundtable on CLNS Radio. I'm Evan Valenti alongside Matthew Ignall, coming at you on the day of Game 5 at the TD Garden in Boston. Again, it's going to be at 8:30 tonight, as the series is tied 2 games apiece. And Matt, you know, we're going to get into Game 5. We all know this. It's a lot to talk about in terms of what to expect for Game 5. But I think what is the best way to prepare for Game 5 is to kind of take a step back. Now that we've seen all 4 games kind of unfold out in front of us, we kind of have a couple different patterns, okay? You look at Boston, first 2 games, especially in Game 1, rebounding a massive issue. You knew after Game 1 adjustments had to be made, correct?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at like the major adjustment, at least rotation-wise, that Brad Stevens has inputted into this series is basically eliminating all of Amir Johnson's minutes and starting Gerald Green, just getting a little bit more skill out there and forcing, I think, in turn the Bulls to react. And I think that's where we are right now.
Brad has it's one of my buddy's favorite quotes of Brad. It's a terrific one. It's shake up the snow globe. Like inserting Gerald Green into that particular assignment it was interesting. Like I never would have thought of.
I mean, in your opinion, who is the second best shooter after Isaiah Thomas on the Celtics?
I probably would go Bradley, then Crowder.
All right, and after that?
So Gerald Green.
Right, I think so. I mean, I don't think it's crazy putting Gerald Green out there. You know, he's probably the next best shooter off the bench.
I just never would have even imagined doing that because, I mean,
I thought it would be smart.
You thought it would be smart?
Yeah. I mean, some people thought it would be Jalen. I mean, I think most people who were paying attention knew the Celtics had to make a change by going a little bit smaller, and that would mean replacing Amir Johnson. But, you know, the conventional answers were the guy that Brad Stevens went with during the season. So I guess Gerald Green was out of left field in that sense.
Yeah, and it's worked so perfectly for them. You know, they get Gerald Green a bunch more minutes, especially in the first half when he's, you know, you can see at the end of the game where he's icing his knees and he doesn't look nearly as hot as when he comes out, but he gives them all he has in the short minutes that he has. You know, Jerebko's come out and give them a couple of quality minutes. Rozier has been really good in games 3 and 4. And they've been able to spread out Chicago from minute 1 to minute 48 and tire out Jimmy Butler as humanly as possible. I mean, that's just gonna be the style for them. But I like, as we get ready for Game 5, like, I don't know what the Bulls' counter is to this. I don't know if the Bulls have the roster to counter this move by Brett. I just don't think it's possible. As much as we've seen in Games 1 through 4, you know, with Chicago playing really well in Game 2 and having their way in Game 1 and Boston basically reversing that in Games 3 and 4, you know, at this point, we've seen a lot of basketball, but now I think that Boston's true advantage of the way they go small will now just dominate the rest of the series. Am I crazy?
No, I think you nailed it. That, you know, the Brad Stevens.
I feel like a homer though. I feel like that's like I'm not even.
Oh, I think Bulls fans would agree with you that the Celtics have him on the ropes with the certain adjustments that Brad Stevens made, and it just sort of leaves the Bulls in a difficult position. I don't know which way Hoiberg's going to go. Do you have an inkling in either direction?
You know, I just think it's funny. You know who would really help the Bulls right now when they wanted to go small? Taj Gibson and Doug McDermott. Right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't having a guy that could rebound like Taj Gibson at the, you know, maybe at the 5 if they'd have to, or maybe at the 4, and they could still, you know, whatever, be somewhat mobile with maybe like Mirotic at the 5. I don't know. You come up with something weird.
Even,
I know. You know?
Gibson could at least have a chance defending Isaiah Thomas. Robin Lopez has no chance. Cristiano Felicio has basically no chance. Gibson would.
Right. And then Doug McDermott would add floor spacing for them. They'd be able to space the floor on the offensive side of the court. It just is, it's like so Bulls right now that the guys that they could use are the 2 guys they had on their team before they traded him for campaign, and he can't do anything effectively off the bench. I just find it hilarious that this is what it's come down to. Because, again, Chicago could have presented a couple of matchup problems, but I think Boston's really exposed them. I don't know what Hoiberg does. I mean, if Jimmy Butler's going to play 46 minutes again, and they rely on him so much to do everything on the offensive end because they don't have a point guard at all, really, if Rondo can't play. And even if, like, so the rumor is that Rondo is going to try and play. We don't know if he's going to play, but the rumor is he's going to try and play. He's going to play a lot more left-hand dominant. Not really effective as a shooter with his right hand. It might be a little rough for Rondo out there. Like, is that their only hope is a hobbled Rondo? Like, what is that where we're at right now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, these are the Bizarro Bulls. They do the opposite of what you expect. They were good against teams above 500. They were bad against teams below 500. I don't think Jimmy Butler's going to play 46 minutes. I think that was like a very clear mistake. And I think we saw like, the repercussions of it, before our eyes. I think you do have to stick to the formula that got you wins. I think Robin Lopez is involved with that. Now, are the Celtics going to chew that up? They might, or Gerald Green could go cold.
There was the Denzel Valentine thing thrown out. And
that would be my suggestion there, just to eschew the traditional point guard and just get a guy who can.
What difference does Denzel Valentine make? I know he's a skilled guy. We all thought that coming out of college he'd be a skilled guy. He'd average like 5-2-2 in 17 minutes during the regular season. He shot 35% from three, so he's not a fantastic three-point shooter. I mean, he kind of does a little bit of everything.
Is it that different than you wanting Doug McDermott out there, though?
Doug McDermott's at least a proven three-point shooter.
I just think that their point guard rotation is such utter trash that, that they
Well, it's not like Jimmy can't play the point either. He's been able
exactly.
to do
So
that.
put Zipser out there. He would be my first choice, and I don't know. It's not Michael Carter Williams. He does not belong in this series.
Jimmy might play the elimination game if it gets to that point. Jimmy might play all 48 minutes and just never come out. It'd be quite a feat.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty incredible. What's been really interesting about Boston, though, is in games 3 and 4 has been some of the other contributions from some of the guys. I mean, Terry Rozier sticks out in game 3. Game 4 is obviously belonging to Gerald Green. I think Jay Crowder has been pretty good the last couple of games. Now, again, defensively, I don't think he's there. But I think that Jay at least is starting to find a little bit of rhythm offensively on the floor. 16-6 in game 3, 11 points, and a much better effort in game 4. Today's Roundtable podcast is being brought to you by the SeatGeek ticketing app. As the Celtics playoff push heats up, SeatGeek is the smartest and easiest way to get tickets to every game. With SeatGeek's seamless mobile experience, you can buy and sell tickets in just 2 taps, and it doesn't end with the Celtics or any other NBA game. SeatGeek also has plenty of concert, comedy, theater tickets available too. It's all fully guaranteed. I have SeatGeek on my phone, and if I wanted to, I would definitely use it to buy tickets for Wednesday's game, tonight's game, against the Chicago Bulls, at the TD Garden, again at 8:30. And if you're gonna do that, let's say you're gonna do that, let me throw something at you. Listeners of CLNS Radio can support this production and get a $20 rebate off their first SeatGeek purchase. Here's how you do it. Just download the app. It's free. Go to the settings tab and click add a promo code. Enter the promo code CELTSNEWS, all one word, and SeatGeek will send you $20 after you've made your first ticket purchase. Download the free SeatGeek app, enter the promo code CELTSNEWS today.
Well, you got to give someone credit for slowing down Wade,
right?
And I think Jay Crowder might even deserve the lion's share of that. I mean, Dwayne Wade's so crafty; he gets all his points through guile, and Crowder falls for basically nothing. He's a very conservative defender, as we've noted previously on this pod. So, Jay Crowder sneaky good in my opinion, as he tends to be. I don't know if it's weird because I wouldn't have expected it, but Al Horford basically said the Bulls forcing a switch so that Isaiah Thomas guards Jimmy Butler. We saw that a million times.
Yeah, you called it out. I mean, it was it felt like they ran it every time during the first half, and that's all he did.
Right, yeah, and they stopped when Isaiah Thomas got in foul trouble. Puzzling, but Al Horford basically said that's what they want. That's what they want the Bulls to do. They don't mind that mismatch, even if Jimmy Butler has basically a foot on him. And I guess it makes sense because it sort of mucks up the offense, and at least you're not getting open shots. I mean, it might look open, but there's still a guy below you, and that can mess you up a little bit. So, and then forces Jimmy Butler into mid-range jumpers. I mean, he could go off like LeBron did in Game 6, 2012 against the Celtics, but more likely it's not going to be the most efficient offense out there.
Yeah, and it prevents Jimmy from getting to the rack, which he did 26 times or whatever in Game 4. And Jimmy's a great. He's not a phenomenal free throw shooter, but it gives him a little bit of rest. It gives the other guys rest, which is kind of a big deal when they don't play a lot of guys. Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to do that. When it comes down to it, Al Horford being a mobile ish type big and being able to kind of cover up sometimes. And Boston plays a good style of just team defense. They cover for each other pretty well. Like Marcus is a spectacular team defender. Same with Jay. When Isaiah gets switched onto Jimmy Butler, one of those guys is always usually lurking around somewhere. And sometimes you'll have Horford lurking around somewhere. I mean, they do a good job of making sure that whoever Isaiah is on doesn't have just the sole attention of Isaiah. Everybody else is sort of accounting for that person.
Yeah, I mean, when the Bulls do that, like, you either got to figure that they need to surround Jimmy Butler with shooters to give him more space, or surround him with, like, grass classers and, just say, okay, well, Jimmy Butler might not shoot well from there, but, we're going to try and give ourselves a 40% chance at an offensive rebound. It seems like it's favorable for the Bulls. That, like, running that brush screen, it's going to be difficult for the Celtics not to switch at that point, because you just can't give Jimmy Butler too much space. To me, that's the most interesting thing, along with the Rondo story going into Game 5. It's what sort of lineups, I guess, Fred Hoiberg puts out there. I have no idea. I have no idea what Hoiberg's going to do. I'm sort of fascinated to see it, because it's on the Bulls to respond right now. The Celtics...
How shocked are you going to be if Chicago wins Game 5?
I would be surprised, but, one game, it's very hard to be shocked. Like, this team lost to Phoenix.
You're so level-headed, Matt. You're way more level-headed than I am.
Came out flat in the most important game of the regular season against the Cavs. They came out flat to start this series, and you can blame it on whatever you want. We're getting to the end of the series right now. The team that wins Game 5 tends to win 78% of the time. Don't hold me to that, but something like that.
No, I'm definitely going to hold you to that. That's going to be something I definitely hold you to. But yeah, I mean, look, I like the energy's better. Isaiah seems a little bit more focused. They've made a big adjustment. I like the way they're playing. Seems like things are in their favor. Yeah, it's 2-2. This has been a roller coaster type series, I think, for everybody involved. I don't know if they have it in them to come back here. Again, one game is one game, but I think Boston's really figured things out. The last question I think I have for you, Matthew, is, are you about that life?
I don't think I'm on the same level. What about you, Evan?
I'm not about that life. I'll tell you right now, I'm not about that life. But I wouldn't go around questioning people if they're about that life. I think, come on, man, if you gotta know. You just can't go around asking people, I think Marcus handled that really well, by the way. I thought he was like, look, this isn't about me against Jimmy Butler. It's about the Celtics versus the Bulls. Let's move on, please. I thought that was perfect.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's get to Game 5. I mean, I'm ready for this. It's been way too long. We had way too long of a break here between crucial playoff games. Let's get this show on the road.
So that'll do it for this edition of CLNS Roundtable on the CLNS Radio Network. Make sure if you're going to Game 5, you use the promo code CELTSNEWS after you download SeatGeek to get $20 off your first ticket purchase. Don't forget that stuff. Have a great time at Game 5. We'll see you guys Thursday morning. We'll be recapping Game 5, maybe even a special guest on the show. So stay tuned for more CLNS Roundtable on the CLNS Radio Network. For Matthew Wignall, I'm Evan Valenti. Go Seas.